last night's defeat against Concordia St. Paul. And your 15-8 Minnesota State University Mavericks, who lost last night and dropped their NSIC record to 8-7. And as we take a look here, this matchup is very crucial for both teams as they are tied for 7th alongside Upper Iowa at 8-7 in conference play. And they're both looking to win this one, and they both got some hunger for this afternoon's matchup. And Michaela Porter will be the one to start it off here as she gives 2 bounces and lets it fly. And there it is, the first points of the game, just like last night, go to the hands of Morgan Olson as she puts the Mavericks on the board first and puts them up 1-0. And that is long, as that's that first service error for the Mavericks here this afternoon. And that'll send back the libero, Clara Krenz. Krenz is a junior, 5'5" from Oakdale, Minnesota. She went to North St. Paul High School. And there it is, as that is a signal for a net, and that results in a point for St. Cloud as they take an early 2-1 lead. They said it was in, but to me it looked kind of long, but we'll see what happens. As that sends Olivia Garby back to serve here as she does a jump serve. As that's her set, and it goes off of Garby, as that's a point for the Huskies, and they regain the lead here. And that'll send back Rachel Howell. Here's Michaela Porter to Anissa Janzig. That's dug up by Krenz. And another mistake here early from Minnesota State. And the serve goes to Veldman. And there's Janzig, but a diving stop by Lindsay Rachel to keep it alive. And Micah Nyer, it was tipped, and that caused it to go out of bounds. And that'll send back Howell for a 3rd consecutive time serving here. They look to get early as that soft touch by Janzig comes nothing. And Howell hits it right into the net. And that'll give the ball back to Mavericks as they go to Quam here. As Ashton Lee comes in for the junior Janzig. Ashton Lee is a sophomore, 6 foot from Coal Valley, Illinois. And there it is, the long arms come to be something, but they say Lee hit the net. As that proves to be nothing but a point for St. Cloud State. One of the things here for St. Cloud State is they played a top team last night, very, very tough. As we take a look here, last night they played an opponent in Concordia St. Paul who is a very tough opponent at 20-4. And they lost in 4 sets, but they were all very close except for the first and third one, as they did take that second set 25-21, but that 4th set they only lost by 2 points. And they were trying to force that 5th set, but they came up nothing but short. and they look to do something here against Minnesota State in their own court. As Quam reaches, and it's lead with the touch, and that sends Lindsay Rachel into a dive, and nothing comes up but short. And here's Veldman. Joey Veldman is one of the 4 juniors on this team for Minnesota State. And they are particularly a young team because they only have 4 juniors and the rest are sophomore and freshmen. The tip there by Lee and Schindler and the miscommunication by Lowry and Quam resulted in a point for St. Cloud. And that's the 3rd mistake early here for Minnesota State. And they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot here as they are down 3. 8-5 is the score so far. Rachel Veldman dives and keeps it alive. Veldman yet again. Here's Schindler. And the block by Mariah Mulso. As this rally has proved to be something of a great deal, as we'll see who gets it, and it looks like that's going to go to the Huskies in white. As we look here today, the Mavericks changed up their uniforms this afternoon, as last night they were wearing gold with purple lettering, but this afternoon you see they're in purple and gold lettering. Quam with a nice save, and Garby hits it to Taylor Olstead, and she can't come up with it as that goes out of bounds. And that'll send Ashton Lee back to serve. And that's a nice block by that tall Janzig and Schindler. Here's Schindler as she goes in, as it does hit yet again. And the head coach for St. Cloud State is not particularly a fan of that call. And the block by Janzig and Garby, and they got pumped up there a little bit as they're seeing a little of these tides turn from that call. And there it is. Rachel Lindsay throws it on the board and gets it back. As there is a substitution as number 8, Abby Templin, comes in for Taylor Olstead. And here's Rachel Lindsay. And that is out and long. And timeout Minnesota State. And as we take a look here from last night's matchup, St. Cloud State's hitting percentage was incredibly low in all 3 sets that they had lost. And they are looking to get that back on track. And the Airs, they had 17 all of yesterday. And we'll see if something comes of it. But they only had 2 aces, and that's something that I'm pretty sure their head coach, Chad Bregelman, is looking to have them capitalize on and try something different and new. He's got to be pleased with how the way that they start, because Minnesota State typically comes out a fast team, as they typically give you a run for their money in that first set. I mean, they have right now, but it's something that is going to try to take here as they're down, as Minnesota State is down 3, 11-8, and we look to see if something's going to come of it. And as we take a look here around women's volleyball, Minot State is taking on Wayne State. In Wayne, Nebraska. Northern State is taking on Southwest Minnesota State in Marshall. And St. Cloud State and Minnesota State, and then MSU Moorhead versus University of St. Paul's all take on at 2. And then there are some games later today that go on at 3 and at 5 o'clock later tonight. As that soft touch tried to throw off the side of Minnesota State, but then there's Garvey as it was tipped. In fact, it goes out of bounds. And that'll send in as both freshmen get taken out. Here comes Michaela Porter and Morgan Olson. And there's Quam, sends it over on the third hit. And there it is by number 18, Mara Mulso. And Krenz is serving. And Jedzik tries a soft touch, but nothing comes of it. And the long hit by Garvey, excuse me. And she's proved to be something of a factor. She's getting herself into this ball game. And there it is by Janzig. Anissa Janzig, the 6-foot junior out of Wells, Minnesota, is having herself a nice start here. She is doing nothing of such sort as she's just getting points on the board for her purple and gold. And that's a good eye by Veldman. She does a nice job at letting that one go, and I knew the temptation was there to try to hit it. And that's a point for the Huskies, as that'll send back Rachel Howell here for her second consecutive time serving in this first set. And that's a nice communication there on the Maverick side as Veldman does it yet again, as she keeps that eye on the ball and realizes that it's going to be long. And there it is as they try to set it up. But Abby Templin throws it, hits it into the net, and that pulls the Mavericks within one, as that's going to send back the libero, Mara Quam. As they do decide to keep that alive, and Michaela Porter is looking for another assist here. And Morgan Olson ties up this match. And here in this first set, it is tied at 14-all. And Quam is serving. And she's provided some sort of spark here. As they say, it was tipped by one of the front ladies in purple. And then it sends back Olsted in white for the Huskies to continue to get this lead back and see if they can get that first set in the favor of St. Cloud State. And Morgan Olson has something to say about that as she hits it and she gets it. And after that, she comes out in favor of Schindler, and Lauren Lowry will head back to serve as she takes the place of Michaela Porter. And that nice serve from Lowry sends Taylor Olsted to do an awkward hit, and that timeout by St. Cloud State is in favor as Minnesota State goes up 1, and that's their first lead since going up 1-0, as they have been trying to trail, and they have been trailing for most of this set, as the head coach of St. Cloud State, Chad Bragelman, is somewhat displeased from his last time out, and he's having a conversation with his ladies over there. But if you're the head coach for Minnesota State in Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmoth, you got to see some pleasure as they come out from that last time out. I'd say that's a good one as they keep adding this spark and life, and they're coming out hot and trying to succeed here in this first set. And trying to take it from them as they try to look to sweep St. Cloud State. Is this something that's in desperate need for both sides? As they are tied for 7th in the conference, and only the top 8 go on to play later this year. And as we take a look at the freshman Lauren Lowry, as her and her partner that she comes in with when they do a substitution, Dana Schindler. Dana Schindler and Lauren Lowry are big key factors here for Minnesota State as they look to do something here. And along with that, as it did hit the pole, Joy Veldman is having herself quite an afternoon of recognizing how long the ball is going to go. And the communication has picked up from last night on the side of Minnesota State. Is that something that was pretty absent last night as Lauren Lowry goes to Ashton Lee. Ashton Lee gets the Mavericks on the board again as they throw back out in front. This is just a back and forth type match. And that'll send back Joey Veldman for her second time serving. She decides to go to the jump. And number 18 for the Huskies, Maro Milso, hits it into the hands of Lee, and that deflects straight to the ground. And there it is. Ashton Lee comes back from that block. And then they'll send Mara Kwam to the bench and bring in Jane Sakowitz. And she hits it to Rachel Lindsay. That's a point Huskies as Marquam comes back in. Ashton Lee and Jane Sakowitz take a seat. Here's Rachel Lindsay to go. As that was a nice low serve to the net as that caused some trouble for Garvey, it looked like, but she kept it alive. And that's a point Huskies. As the Huskies regain the lead here 19-18 late in this first set. As that was out and long. And here's the second timeout. The second timeout for Minnesota State. Is that their last of this first set? As they look, as Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmoth is trying to get rid of that intensity on the side of the Huskies, as that last timeout proved to be something of a difference maker here, as that changed the momentum there a little bit and in favor of the Huskies as they are up 20-18. And as that was a quick timeout and a quick meeting from the coaching staff of MSU, as there's nothing really to complain about what they've done here. They just seem a little less energetic, but a lot more on the communicational side, as they are actually doing quite well here this afternoon in terms of communicational skills and recognizing when the ball is going to be out. But there's just a lot of mistakes here on the side of Minnesota State. I shouldn't say a lot. I should say just about 4 that have caused some difference makers and swinging it into the way of St. Cloud State. And St. Cloud State's having almost a clean first set here as a dive by the scorers table by Abby Templin. That's a point Mavericks, as that'll send back Michaela Porter as she comes in. And that is out from Michaela Porter. And that'll slip back to libero Clara Krenz. And there's Garby kept alive. Michaela Porter looking for another assist. And there's Krenz to Rachel Lindsay. Or Lindsay Rachel, my mistake. And the long arms there as that goes over the net, but out on the left side. And that'll make it close yet again as the Mavericks pull within one. And here, let's see what Olivia Garby can draw up. And let's see if she can get a couple aces here for her team. And there it is as Garby got tangled up, and that'll send the ball back. And Rachel Howell is looking to do something of such sorts as what Olivia Garby could have done for her team. And they're 3 points away from taking this first set here in the Bresnan Arena. And Morgan Olson says, hold up, wait a minute. I got something to say. And this will send back Mara Kwam. As this back and forth first set continues. And here's Mara Kwam with the jump serve. And Garby got kind of tongue-tied there and sends it into the net. As here's a substitution. Here comes Olstad in for Templin. And it's 23-21 in favor of St. Cloud State. Here's Porter. And the block right up front by number 10, Micah Nair. And she's proven something here, as we haven't called her name quite often so far this afternoon, as they are 1 point away from taking this first set. And there it is, a service error by Olstad, and that's a point Mavericks. That'll bring in Schindler and Lowry. As Lowry's back to serve and trying to get Minnesota State here to within at least one. Let's see what she can do here and draw for her squad. As Dana Schindler tries something of it, not trying to go hard, but then there's a block right there by Leon Veldman. Here's Lowry to Veldman. That's a bad serve, or set, excuse me. And that sends it in, and that wins it for St. Cloud State as St. Cloud State takes that first set 25-22. And that was a very back and forth first set. And as we take a minute here for the transition into the second set, I will be right back with first half stats. To Bresnan Arena here as the Minnesota State University Mavericks find themselves down 1-0 to their rival of St. Cloud State, as this is in fact a huge matchup here today for both teams. As I alluded to earlier in the broadcast, it seems that St. Cloud State came out with more of a little bit of a fire. As we take a look here, the score of that first set was 25-22 in favor of St. Cloud State. And we take a look here at the biggest thing here was the ties in that first set, as there were 7 ties but only 3 lead changes, which was quite weird and something that you don't really see very often. As we take a look at assists, Maddie Torvey, number 14 for St. Cloud State, leads all players with 10 assists so far today. As a vicious hit from number 17, Rachel Howell, and hitting. And there's a point Huskies as they take an early 2-0 lead here in this first set. And that sends Veldman down low. That was a nice serve from Lindsay Rachel. As that goes in the net, but kept alive by Olivia Garby and off the hands of Janzig and Garby. And that nice by Michaela Porter. That's point Maverick. Now set back Olivia Garby. Does that send Lindsay Rachel to her knees? Here's Morgan Olson, and a diving kept alive by Michaela Porter. There's Olivia Garby. She tries to do one short, and this is a nice rally here. That is in fact in. That's a point Huskies. And there it is. Point Mavericks. And that will send back the libero in Mara Quam. And that was a nice serve by Quam. Here's Morgan Olson as she tries a soft touch. But Rachel Howell was right there to stop that. Oh, that's a nice block up there by a combined team of Veldman and Lee. Here's Michaela Porter to Morgan Olson. She does a soft touch. And that drops in. And point Morgan Olson and the Mavericks. As it's 4-3 is the new score. Here's Veldman. She has that blocked and set back. And that's a point for the Huskies. And the long arms of Ashton Lee try to get that one back over. But it was a diving play by the Huskies that kept it alive. And that's a nice play. Here's Quam to Garby. That's sent back over Veldman. Handcuffs number 14, Maddie Torvey. And the dive comes up, and that rally there goes to the Huskies. That was a nice serve. That sends Michaela Porter to the deck, but she comes up short. And I'd like to mention here today, this afternoon here at the Taylor Center at the Breslin Arena, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month for the month of October. And we are doing our part as a university, and a timeout by Minnesota State. We're doing our part as a university to wear pink and wear any type of color that your family has been affected by to help raise awareness and stop and help the fight for cancer. And that is a great thing here that Minnesota State does, and everyone is in support of that. And as we take a look at other Maverick teams that are in action this afternoon, the #1 team in the nation for football, Minnesota State, is up in Bemidji, taking on a very tough-tested Bemidji State Beaver team. And that score at halftime is in favor of Minnesota State, and the score reads 20-6. And then other teams that are in fact in action here this weekend is the women's soccer team faces Minnesota State University Moorhead in Mankato tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then we take a look at the men's hockey team as they played last night up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and beat North Dakota Fighting Hawks. And they beat them 7-4 as they take, that game was at 7:30 last night, as their game starts at 7:07 here tonight, and we'll keep an eye on that action if you are a diehard Maverick fan. And that is long by Hool, and that will bring in both freshmen back. And that'll send back Lowry. That is a nice hit from Micah Nyer, and that's a point for the Huskies. Taylor Olstead comes in for Abby Templin, and this is Olstead's first time serving here in the second set. Dana Schindler has a block in the dive by Garvey, kept alive, and hit back over right at Lowry, but she doesn't come up with anything, as that results in a point, and it goes out to the right side. And it's a 10-4 lead here for the Huskies. Still early in this first set, and there's still becoming something coming from that side of the Mavericks, as that was long. And that's a point for the Mavericks as they bring this lead within 5, and that'll send back number 3, Jane Sakowitz, as she comes in for the junior Joey Veldman. And a monster hit by Lindsay Rachel, as we've called her name quite a bit here in this second set. And it was just a monster hit. And went off a Maverick player and out of bounds. As the communication there proved to be a good thing for the Mavericks, as Kwame Garvey had a little bit of confusion there to start it off. Here's Rachel Lindsay again as she hits it into the net. It comes right back at her. And that's a point for the purple and gold. As Kwame has a seat, and here comes Janzig back into the game. Results in a point, as that was a great play by number 18, Mara Mussel. And here's Torvey. she decides to do the stand and not jump for when she serves. And here's Janzig. Goes right into Krenz. Schindler, Lowry to Janzig, tries to fool him, but nothing of. And this is a great rally here, kept alive by both teams. Sent over by Garby. And that is out. Wide is the miss hit by Howell. As the Huskies have a 4-point lead here. And we're not even midway through this second set. Morgan Olson, as that's tipped and goes down to the ground as the new score reads 12-9. And that is a great serve by Michaela Porter as that tied up a Husky player. And results in a point, and it goes out to the left side. 2 bounces, the throw, and the hit over. As a nice hit that goes into the tunnel. Down on the near left side. And here's Lindsay Rachel. And that's a nice serve by Rachel. And that's a point for the Huskies. And that is long. And then Mara Kwam turns and tries to say that was tipped, but the refs are having nothing of it. And the touch kept alive. And there it is as it goes over, as it's tipped at the line, but then goes over. And a timeout, Minnesota State. By MSU, as they are out of timeouts here this set, as they're going to have to rely on St. Cloud State and have a momentum swing here coming out of this timeout and spark something into the minds of MSU. And there it is, Morgan Olson. As that head hit, has some authority to Maddie Torvey, and she can't keep it alive. As Jane Sakowicz goes and has a breather, here comes Joey Veldman. Right into Michaela Porter, Olivia Garby, and then sent over by Kwam. As that is out. That's a point for the Huskies. And Krenz is serving. And here's the thing with Krenz, she's a junior from Oakdale, Minnesota. She does have a sister, a younger sister on the team, number 2, Katie Krenz. She's a first year from Oakdale. And that's a point, as the fans are getting a little bit more into it. That's a point for Mavericks. Now send back Mark Kwam as the fans do continue to get excited over a t-shirt toss. And there it is, sent back by Morgan Olson. And here we go again. As this game, and as the deficit for St. Cloud State decreases to 4. And a nice save by Quam as Michaela Porter decides to throw it over, and they thought she was going to set it like she normally does. And that goes into the dive by Porter, hits it into Lee. And results in a point, and the lead increases back up to 5 points for St. Cloud State. As Hool, as it's sent over by Quam, as she hits it a little too far and hard. Lee, Porter, Olsen. Here's Michaela Porter back to Olsen as that goes up almost into the rafters here in Breslin Arena. And hitting of the net. Coach Bregelman decides to check on one of his players, Micah Nyer, because he thought she got hit in the nose there. And there it is. Oh, MSU thought they had something of a point, but the diving stop by Krins keeps it alive. And that's a point for the Mavericks as that's wide right. And here comes Lori Lowry as she does most of the time. As soon as she comes in, she goes back to serve. She does a jump serve here from the Mavericks. As that goes right in, and if Schindler hits the deck to try to keep it alive, and that's a point, Mavericks. And a miss hit goes into the net, and it results in a point, and that results in a 21-14 lead here for the Huskies. Is this the biggest lead that anybody's had this afternoon at 7? Darby hits the deck, and that hits it goes into the net, and the lead increases to 8. As the Huskies are, in fact, 3 points away from going into the third set and taking it from Minnesota State. As the hit by Veldman goes into the hands of number 14, Micah Nyer and Maddie Torvey, but that hits the pole, and that results in Veldman going back and having to serve here for the purple and gold. And there it is. Micah Nyer, as she goes back and she's looking to put 2 more points here for St. Cloud State to close this one off, as the score reads 23-15 in favor of St. Cloud State. As that is long, good eye and communication by Garvey, Quam, and Veldman to let that one go, as Ashton Lee goes back to serve. And there it is, a point from Mara Mulso. That's a point Huskies, as they are 1 point away from taking back-to-back sets and going up 2-0 on MSU on their home court. As Schindler does a nice job there. That results in a point for MSU, and that'll send back Michaela Porter. And that's sent back by Janzig, and it drops to the ground as Minnesota State's not going down quietly here in this second set, as the new score reads 24-18, but another point and another mistake from Minnesota State that will result in a point for St. Cloud State, like that one, as Lindsay Rachel sends it in, and it goes out wide, and St. Cloud State takes that second set, and they go up 2-0 here. Welcome back to Bresnan Arena. As we take a look here at some of the stats, nothing was like the first set there, as St. Cloud State had the lead throughout the entire set, as there were 0 ties and 0 lead changes, and Minnesota State's got to look something to spark, to do something to force this in 5 sets and take it, because this is something that they badly need in desperation. And if you're at St. Cloud State, as they came out of the tunnel there, they had a lengthy conversation, but it's probably got to be all praise from Chad Bregelman, but he's probably got to say, don't let your foot off the pedal, as we need to take this, and this one is huge for us in conference standings, as there goes Anissa Janzing, and here comes back Mara Quam, as we still got some time left here between sets, as they are waiting patiently. And we take a look here, as there's only been a few, as Lauren Lowry takes the lead here in assists at 9, and Michaela Porter only got 2 that second set. There wasn't much to do on offense for Minnesota State particularly, as here's Lauren Lowry, as both freshmen decide to start this, and that's a point for the Huskies. And here is Krenz. And touching of the net is called by Lowry as she tries to do something of it. And that's a 2-0 early lead here for St. Cloud. And that's tipped. And Joey Veldman on the points there for Minnesota State. Schindler, Lowry to Garby. And that is in, as there is a little bit more life here to start this third set. And it's a tie ball game, and here's Veldman. hit from Micah Nyer. And this is something we haven't seen quite often from MSU, from their opponents, as that goes off pool and out of bounds. And that's something that goes in favor of the Mavericks here, as it sends Joey Veltman back again. From the games I have seen here, it seems quite unusual for the Mavericks to have a serve of quite a length, actually a rally of quite a length. As that's a point Huskies, as a lot of people were very confused on that. And Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmuth is wanting some explanation here. As they are waiting for some explanation here on what just happened. As they still are giving it to the Huskies on that, as there was a lot of clarification and a lot of conversation there between the judges and the referees. And that hit by Garby goes into the net, and that allows Poole to go back and serve yet again. Oh, that's a nice save by Lauren Lowry. There's Lowry to Garby, and Garby gets it to the ground and ties up this ball game at 4. Zelson Ashton Lee to serve. As that hits the net but goes over, and all of a sudden crans into a dive. As that goes off the arms of Garby and falls to the ground. And here comes Olstead. As Olstead has done wonders here this afternoon for St. Cloud State in the serving department. As she's done quite well as when she's came in to the match here this afternoon. As there is a bunch of confusion as it goes in the net, trying to keep it alive by Nyer. And that results in more points and another t-shirt toss. As Schindler and Lowry, who started out the set for the first time here this afternoon, and it brings in Michaela Porter and Morgan Olson. And the deflection sends Veldman into a dive to try to keep it alive, but she does not. As that'll send back Nyer here for the first time in this third set. That's a nice set there by number 9, Taylor Olstead, to set up Howell. And there it is, Rachel Lindsay, or Lindsay Rachel, excuse me. but not tipped, as that was a great eye by the referee and a great use of self-control there by Nair to not wanting to hit that one as she recognized that was going long. And Allison Quam and Allison Porter to the deck. And point Huskies. And timeout Minnesota State as St. Cloud State brings out to a 4-point lead and is doing everything in their power to sweep Minnesota State here. And Minnesota State here has dropped 5 straight sets coming into this third set as they got swept last night again here against Minnesota Duluth. And they're looking at another sweep here tonight. And this is not how they wanted this homestand to go, as they had a chance to go 10-6 in conference play, but are now seeing 8-7 and possible 8-8, which is quite concerning on the side of Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Woolmuth and Coach Klein and graduate assistant Sabrina Gonzalez, as they are going to have some work to do here in the upcoming weeks to try to get something on task here as they try to come in unison here and spark something up that will result in a third set victory for them. As the ball girl gives it to Nair as they are ready to come back here and play, as that was quite a long talking to by both set of coaches, as normally Minnesota State gets out there with 45 seconds and this time they got out there with 20, as Coach Rittenhouse-Woolmuth had something to say. She's in her 5th year coaching here at MSU, and that is in as Nair tries to save it, but she comes up short, and Nair takes a seat, and here comes in Krins.
One day, because they had like some big softball tournament in town. But yeah, this was like everybody was
And a dive by number 18, Mara Mulso, results in a point. And that'll send back number 14, Maddie Torvey. And a nice block there by Morgan Olson on the hit of Lindsay Rachel. And I'll send back Mara Quam here. And let's see if they can get going here in the front 3 for Minnesota State. As follows is Morgan Olson, Ashton Lee, and Joey Veldman. Quam to Porter to Olson. And kept alive by Olstead. And here's Veldman as she keeps it alive. Mara Quam, and that's a lucky break there for St. Cloud. And a huge hit by Morgan Olson says it up and almost hits the rafters again. That's the 3rd time this afternoon we have seen something of that sort. And Morgan Olson this time gets it to go. And Maddie Torvey, a tremendous effort. And here's Quam as Minnesota State pulls within 2, and the score reads 10-8 in favor of St. Cloud State. And the soft hit, Mara Quam tries to do something as she realized how far back that Husky team was, and she was close, but no cigar. And here's Lindsay Rachel. And she tries to do something about it, and she hits it to Morgan Olson on her serve and kept alive. That was a nice play by Maddie Torvey to keep it alive for the Huskies. And Veldman goes high and long, as it was a miss hit and another error here on the side of Minnesota State, resulting in a point for the Huskies. They're allowing to build themselves a lead here by 4 points. I mean, not the biggest of margins, but it's still a lead. And Morgan Olson, and yet again, proves to be someone that to be reckoned with here, as she hits into the arms of Maddie Torvey, and she can't keep it alive. Lowry Lowry to Veldman as Veldman tries to hit it over and do something of a trick, but that doesn't come up of anything here. As there's Garby to Torvey to Krenz to Lindsay. That's a point for Minnesota State. And there it is, a service there by Lowry. It results in a point in increasing this Husky lead. As Krenz is serving here. And that is in. As Coach Chad Briggleman as Veldman is serving here for the Mavericks, and let's see if she can provide a spark here. Here's Garby to Veldman. Veldman hits an over. And there's Torvey to number 8, Abby Templin. Kept alive, Garby hits it over. That's a great play by as that is out and not tipped. As that is a great play by Veldman at the last second, holding up and not hitting it. As the new score reads 13-12, as the Mavericks are pulling a little bit of a trick out of their hat and getting themselves back into this game, back into this set. And that is a nice play by Ashton Lee as that sends Lindsay Rachel to the deck. And that timeout, Chad Briggleman, as he wants to cool down the Mavericks here. And this is a nice little thing that we haven't seen in quite some time to that first set back in last night's matchup. The intensity that Minnesota State is playing with right now and mistake-free volleyball is allowing them to have this spark. And if you're Lori Windhouse-Wilmuth, you got to keep riding this group of women and allowing them to do what they do best, and that is kick some serious butt. And let's see what Chad Briggleman is here, because he looks like, if you look at him in the huddle, he's a little intense right now. Not too much, but he's got enough to where he's coaching and he's allowing, and he's getting into it. As he's using a lot of hand gestures and a lot of motions to explain what's going on and what he wants from his ladies in white. As here's Joey Veldman to continue to serve here as she does a jump serve. Torvey to Templin off the attempted block by Schindler and Lee. As that goes on the side, as that sneaks their way in between number 10 Micah Nyer and Rachel Houle. And it results in a point and the first lead of this set for the Mavericks as they take a lead 14-13. Here's Torvey to Nyer. Kept alive by Quam to Schindler. Schindler to Krenz. Torvey the set. And Nyer puts it to the floor as a diving Veldman cannot do anything with it. And that's a tie game. Kept alive here. And there's Templin, Lowry, Garby, Krenz with a diving save, Torvey, and a nice block by Lee. Veldman, Lowry, Garby with the touch. Nothing. Quam, Garby, Rachel, Torvey. And that was off Lee, and he goes out to the near side It results in a point, and the Huskies regain the lead here, as that was a nice rally by both sides. And here's Hool, Garby, Lowry, Garby again, Rachel, Torvey, and off the hands of Lee, and Micah Nyer gets that point on the board here. And let's see what St. Cloud can do with this time, as Hool, that was a nice serve. It was low to the net, but it didn't hit it. And that caused Garby, as a set by Lowry, and then Garby hits it into the net. As Quam has his seat. Oh, sorry, my mistake. That is a point for the Mavericks. Now let's see what Ashton Lee can bring up onto the side here for the purple and gold, as she has a service error and hits it right into the net. And I'll send it right back over to the Huskies, as here comes Taylor Olsted back into this match. And a nice hit, and Quam sends to the deck as she hits it in and tries to keep it alive by Lowry. But that'll do nothing, as Taylor Olsted's serving proves to be somewhat of a factor here so far. As we take a Lowry, Schindler tries something of a deke, and that kept alive by Lindsay. But kept alive by Torvey, my mistake. And Garby hits the hands of Torvey as that goes out to the near side. And that's a point for the Mavericks, as it is 16-all, and that sends in Michaela Porter and Morgan Olson into the ball game. And here's Michaela Porter. Wow, with authority by Rachel Lindsay, but a nice job by Quam keeping that alive. Rachel keeps it in. And a nice touch by Janzig to put it to the floor. And that's a point for Minnesota State. And here's Porter serving. Porter to Garby. Nice block by Nyer. And the set by Torvey to Lindsay Rachel. And that increases the lead here for the Huskies by 2, 19-17. As that'll send back Nyer to serve. She hits it directly to Quam. Set by Porter to Janzig. Janzig hits it to Nyer. Poole kept alive by Porter. Torvey to none other than the number 4, Lindsay Rachel. And that's a timeout by Minnesota State. Their second of this third set. As Coach Rittenhouse-Wilmoth is 5 points away from getting swept here yet again on back-to-back days. She's trying to draw something up that won't let that happen, as they at least need one set here. And St. Cloud State is coming in and threaten here the Mavericks. And Chad Bragelman on that timeout had a great timing with that, as it killed the momentum on the side of the purple and gold for MSU. And it's resulting in St. Cloud State to have a very, very great comeback here, as it looked like Minnesota State had something of it, and it is nothing short of awesome to see the fight in the ladies of the white for Chad Bragelman. If you are just joining us here, my name is Brian Kelly. I am your play-by-play, and the story of how we got here so far. St. Cloud State has taken a 2-0 set lead over MSU, as St. Cloud State took the first set 25-22, and that second set 25-18. And that is a point for the Mavericks here, as Krins comes back into the game for Nyer. As here's Olivia Garby. And this time, Lindsay Rachel's hit is wide, and that results in a point as it's 20-19 as that deficit for the Huskies is proven to be shrinking here. And there's Torvey to Lindsay, and that is out, and it's a tied at 20. And there's a timeout by St. Cloud State as Coach Chad Bregelman doesn't like what he's seen so far, and both teams are out of timeouts. And I kind of like what Coach Lidenhouse-Wilmuth drew up here. And let's see what Coach Chad Bregelman has to draw up for his ladies in white, as he was furious in that three-point swing as they had the lead with the serve. And now it's a tie game at 20, and looks like the momentum here is swinging in the way of Minnesota State. And let's see if Minnesota State can claw their way out of that hole and at least sacrifice and get that set and force it into a fourth set and see what they can do there. But all they got to do here is get 5 more points on the board and see if they can take it. And let's see if the ladies in purple have what it takes here to force that fourth set. But the ladies in white are proving to be a tough task here this afternoon, as they're doing a whale of a job here on not many. As Lindsay Rachel's hit is long, and that results in the lead here, 21-20 for Minnesota State, as both coaches are timeouts and they can't do anything about it. And there it is as they signal and a whistle, and that's a point for the Mavericks. This is a 22-20 lead. And here's Olivia Garby back to serve here again. Torvey tries to go, instead of setting it up, she just hits it over and kept alive by Quam. Garby sends it over. Torvey, Lindsay, Rachel, Veldman, Porter, Olsen, Holman, and that's out and long. Good recognition by Quam as she realized it, and that's a 3-point lead for the Mavericks, 23-20. And here is Garby. Garby with the diving stop. That's great recognition as Quam to Veldman. Torvey. Mulso. And that is off. Poole. And that will send number 9, Taylor Olsen, into a dive. And that's a point. Mavericks as they are 1 point away. And they are looking to take this third set here from the Huskies as they were down 4 or 5 points here. And here's Lowry to Morgan Olsen. Kept alive by Torvey. Rachel Lindsay, and that hits the floor. And that sent Garby into a dive, and that gives the ball back to St. Cloud State as they are down 3 points, as their 4-point deficit was the largest for them this afternoon as it tied that first set deficit. And here's Torvey as that hit the net but goes over and kept alive by Quam to Veldman. Mulso, Torvey, Poole, was set by Porter. Garby with authority. Kept alive by Krins, and there's Lindsay Rachel as she sets it over. And here's Morgan Olsen. And that is in fact in. As that's a nice play, and that results in a third set victory as Minnesota State comes from behind and does a great job taking that third set, coming from behind and doing nothing short of spectacular. And they take that third set as they are not going down quietly here, as Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmuth has got to like what she saw from her ladies in purple. And she's doing a whale of a job. We are going to take a break here on the NBA Network, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. And welcome back to the Taylor Center here on the NBA Network, as Minnesota State came from behind here in that third set and took it by a score of 25-21, and it is now a 2-set-to-1 advantage here for St. Cloud State. And as we take a look here, something similar as in the first set, 7 ties in 5 lead changes. That is quite remarkable, as the total for this afternoon is 14 ties and 8 lead changes so far here in this afternoon's matchup. And as we take a look here at the assist totals, Lauren Lowry has leading Minnesota State 17, and Michaela Porter has got 14, and third on the team is Mara Quam. As we look here, only 3 people on the side of Minnesota State have them, and Maddie Torvey has a substantial lead in that category with 31 assists compared to her next closest partner, Clara Krins, with 3. And it goes in the net twice, but kept alive. Porter, Janzig to the ground. And here we go, as it's a point Mavericks as they continue their momentum swing here. And here's Garby. Garby with the serve, Krins, Torvey. And there's Nair. Morgan Olsen keeps it alive. Rachel Lindsay, Veldman into the net, tied at 1. Eight. Here's Micah Nair, as we've called her name quite a bit here this afternoon. And there it is from Morgan Olsen. That'll send Houle into a dive. And Houle has played every point, every serve of this ballgame here in the afternoon for the Huskies, as she hasn't seen any time out on the bench. And here's Mara Quam, sends it to Lindsay Rachel. Lindsay Rachel sends it over the net. Quam, Olsen, point, Mavericks. Number 10, Morgan Olsen, is at it again. And here's Mara Quam, as Minnesota's lead here is 3-1 early in this fourth set. And may I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this set is in fact 225. But if it does go a fifth set, we only go to 15. And you got to win by 2 in every single set. And here's Lindsay Rachel, as her kill there goes in. And that is a point for the Huskies. And there it is. Morgan Olsen. And that's a point for the Mavericks, as Porter and Olsen are going to have a breather here. And that'll send back Lowry and Schindler into the front. As the ladies on the court are Ashton Lee, Dana Schindler, Joey Veldman, Mara Quam, Lauren Lowry, and Olivia Garby for Minnesota State. And on the side of St. Cloud State, as Olstead takes a seat, and here comes Templin. And here is Lindsay Rachel, Torvey, Houle, number 18, Marlo Mulso, Krins, and number 8, Abby Templin are all in the game for the Huskies. And there it is, a point for the Huskies, as it is tied at 4, and that'll send Lindsay Rachel back yet again. Houle to Garby, kept alive. Lowry with the set, back to Garby. Garby, the dive by Rachel, comes up short, and that is a point for the Mavericks. And that'll send Veldman back. The junior Veldman is 5'8" from Spirit Lake, Iowa. And there it is, the hit from Templin goes off of Lee and hits the ground, and it's tied at 5. Here's Krenz. Garby, Lowry, Garby again. Kept alive by Lindsay Rachel. And Templin hits it into the arms of Lee, and that falls on the side of Minnesota State. And that barely goes over. That was a nice serve. And Ashton Lee, nice soft serve. Now send Krenz to the deck. Veldman, set by Lowry to Dana Schindler, off the hands. Kept alive here, and that is off the hands of Ashton Lee as she jumped a little too early. And here's Lee. Wow, nice save by Lindsay Rachel. And Lee has it hit right in her arms, and she sends it back. As it's 7-6 in favor of St. Cloud State. But here comes Ashton Lee with the serve. Well, excuse me. Ashton Lee goes and takes a seat. And here comes Jane Sakowitz for the first time here in the third set. She sees some action. Sorry, this is the fourth set. Excuse me. And that is long from Houle. And that ties this game up at 7. That is a point for the Mavericks. And here's Sakowitz. And she does a standing serve. Torvey to Lindsay Rachel. A soft hit over the net, but it's out of the touch. As that is a tip from Micah Nyer as she tries to send it back from Janzig, but that goes out of bounds. And here's Sakowitz again as she looks to continue this surge of Maverick points here and tries to have a little bit of a spark. Krenz gets the serve to Lindsay, and that's off of Janzig and goes straight to the floor, and nobody had a shot. As Ashley comes back in. As Sakowitz and Lee have a seat. And that is in. And the Huskies take a lead 9-8. That was a nice serving ace by Houle. Houle hits it to Garby. Lowry. Garby again. Block from Torvey, and Nyer comes up short as it falls in the lap of Nyer. It hits the floor as Porter comes in for Lowry. Olsen comes in for Schindler, and that'll send back Porter to serve. Porter to Lindsay Rachel. And that goes into the hands and a block by Morgan Olsen. And here we go again. This back and forth match continues, as this is everything you had anticipated to be with the what is on the line here in conference play. And that dive by Krenz comes up short, and here's Michaela Porter. As there is some life here in this building, but it's from a t-shirt toss. And that is long from Michaela Porter. That was great recognition by Krenz. And here comes in number 9, Taylor Olsted. And she has been a great server here for St. Cloud State here this afternoon. And here's Torvey to Nyer. Nyers is in and tied at 11. And here's Olsted. Keep in mind, both teams still have both of their timeouts so far. This is very unusual, as normally it's been such back and forth. I don't think any team has yet to complain about, as there was a little bit of delay in the action from Mara Quam to tie her shoe. Quam, Porter, Olsen, Poole can't come up with it. Gives the lead back to Minnesota State and the ball, as that'll send Garby back to serve for Minnesota State. As Lindsay Rachel hits it into the arms of Morgan Olsen, and that deflects off to the near side. And that gives the ball right back to Nyer here to serve. Quam gets it. Lowry, the set to Janzig. Janzig hits it into the ground with authority. And here comes Ashton Lee into the ballgame for Janzig. And that'll send back Mara Quam. And she hits it to Krenz. Torvey to number 18, Mara Mulso. And that's a point for the Huskies. As these ties are becoming a very common theme here this afternoon. As there has been a lot of ties here so far. And here's the set by Porter and the assist by Porter to Lee. As Lee hits it in. And Porter and Olsen had a nice little stretch there, as here's Schindler and Lowry. A nice soft touch, doesn't fool Mankato, as Joey Veldman hits into the arms of St. Cloud defenders. And there it is, so does Schindler. And Lindsay Rachel is there. And that'll send her back. Here, in fact, is Lindsay Rachel to serve in this 14-all fourth set. Garby, Lowry to Lee with the touch. Kept alive by Krenz. Torvey tries to send over Lee with the tip, and that is kept alive by Lindsay Rachel. Krenz to number 8, Abby Templin. Veldman. Law. Or in. And that was a nice hit there by Veldman as she just keeps it in bounds. And she gives the Mavericks a lead here. As it seems like St. Cloud State this can't get it back as soon as they tie it up. They just give it right back to MSU. Here's Dana Schindler. Schindler with the touch, kept alive by Krenz. Torvey, Poole, Lowry, Ashton Lee with the touch. Poole to Lowry. As it's a point for the Huskies. Quam, Lowry, Garby into the net. And there it is. They finally broke that barrier in a string of a lot of consecutive points. They just keep going back and forth, back and forth. Krenz with the serve to Garby, to Lowry, back to Garby. Into the hands of Lindsay Rachel. Nyer. And yet again, another error. And here's a timeout by Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmoth. And as the Huskies have a 2-point lead in their first lead here of this fourth set, and this is nothing short of a rivalry matchup here as it just keeps going back and forth, back and forth. And I'm going to take a short 30-second break here, and we'll be back. And we are back as that timeout went to MSU, as it was 2 consecutive mistakes by MSU that resulted in points for the Huskies. Quam gets the serve. Lowry the set to Lee, and a touch by Nyer keeps it alive. Sent back over by Torvey. Garby into the hands, and the pumped up Huskies in Hoole, and Nyer as it results in a 3-point lead. Here's Garby to Lindsay Rachel. And set back by Lee. As she's getting the Mavericks back in this game, and there's Anissa Janzik, and she comes in from MAVRIK Quam, and she is pumped up. And Lee Sakowicz comes in for Lee, and that'll send her back to serve. And Sakowicz will do her traditional non-jump serve. She just stands and fires. Torvey to Templin. Kept alive by Veldman. Lowry, the set to Garby. Off the hands and down out of bounds. And that pulls the Mavericks to within one. And the score reads 18-17 midway through this, halfway late into this fourth set. As Minnesota State here looks to keep it alive. Here's Sakowicz brushing the net. Hool into the arms of Sakowicz. Sakowicz has just got a smile on his face from how hard that was hit by Hool. And she had not really a bit of a chance there. Here comes Mara Quam in for Sakowicz. Hool hits it to Garby. Over. Quam. Garby. Off of Krenz. Point. Mavericks. As the referees here are having a discussion. As there was some discussion. And that point goes back to St. Cloud State. Lowry to Janzig. Janzig to the ground. And that was a great play by Anissa Janzig. And the freshmen come off. And here's Porter and Olsen as they look to get something. And as Porter goes straight back to serve here. Porter to Krenz. Torvey to Templin. Garby set by Porter. Hit by Olsen, kept alive by Hool. Nyer into the hands, dived by Veldman, comes up short. As the score reads 21-18, as St. Cloud State's got a 3-point lead. And timeout Minnesota State, their second. And they are out of timeouts here. As St. Cloud State has both of them. As Coach Renhouse Wilmoth discusses with her coaching staff about what she's going to do here when it comes to seeing what she can do in a sense where she can get this lead back and do something of like what they did in that third set, come from behind and pull something out of their hat. But if you're Coach Chad Bregelman, you're got to be discussing saying, hey, as he is in his fourth season here at St. Cloud State, and he's got a record since being at St. Cloud State of 33-54. But this is his 18th year in coaching with an overall record of 336 victories and 265 defeats. As the Mavericks come out pumped up, as the players out on the court for Minnesota State are Porter, Quam, Veldman, Garby, Olsen, and Janzig. And the players for St. Cloud State are Olsted coming in for Templin, Nyer, Torvey, Rachel, Hool, and Krenz. Olsted served to Quam, set by Porter to Morgan Olsen into the arms of Huskies. Nyer, Veldman. Quam keeps it alive. Porter sends it over. Nyer again into the arms of Janzig and Olsen. And that results in a 4-point lead here for the Huskies as they are 3 points away. And here, see what Olsted can do is she sends Garby to one knee. Janzig to the ground with authority. And that keeps the hopes alive for MSU here as that'll send Garby back to serve as Garby proves to be a difference maker here in this serving department as she's got 3 points to go here. And let's see what she can accomplish as that'll send wide into the floor. Number 9, Olsted. Janzig sends it back. Sends Krenz into a dive. A timeout, Coach Chad Bregelman. A timeout, St. Cloud State, as the Mavericks got 2 straight points, and he just wants to cool it off and wants to talk to his ladies here. As Minnesota State pulls within 2, they are down 22-20 late here, and another timeout as St. Cloud State has 1 remaining here in this 4th set. If this keeps going like the way it did earlier here in this set, back and forth, but the Huskies found something late here, and they pulled away a little bit, but Minnesota State is proven to climb back here, and they are looking to keep doing what they did and come from behind here and win it. As there are smiles on the side of Minnesota State as they don't think they are out of it yet, and that's very nice to see as they are down 2. But also on the same side of the Huskies, as you can see, they're communicating well throughout this entire match this afternoon. And here's Olivia Garby. Serves it right to Olsted, to Nair. Torvey. Back to Lindsay Rachel. Garby keeps it alive. And this a dive by Quam. Janzig over. Torvey over. Kept alive by Quam. Porter to Olsen. Krenz. Quam. Touching of the net results in a point. Mavericks. They're pulling within 1. Let's see if Garby can tie this game up or if she's going to give the ball back to St. Cloud State. Serves it right in the middle. Lindsay Rachel kept it back, hitting in the net, still kept alive. Poole sends it over. Lowry sets it to Olsen. Olsen to the ground. Tie game. At 22 apiece, the Mavericks aren't going down easy. And timeout St. Cloud State again after 2 consecutive points. Coach Chad Bregelman wants to talk this over again as he sees this lead slip away, and now it's tie game. And the authority and the passion that Minnesota State is playing with here, as I don't know what Coach Lori Wittenhouse-Wilmuth said in the tunnel or at the break of that 5 minutes between the second and third set, but her ladies are coming out and playing with some passion and fire. And it's quite nice to see. But the passion that St. Cloud State is playing with as the discussion is ended by the St. Cloud coaching staff. They have 40 seconds left to get his ladies back out on the court. And Coach Wilmuth is sending her ladies back out. As it's Quam, Veldman, Olsen, Porter, Janzig, Garby to serve. Torvey, Nair, Olsted, Rachel, Krenz, and Hool. Garby serves it to Rachel. Set to Torvey. Kept alive by Mara Quam. Michaela Porter to Veldman. Rachel. Torvey to Nair. And point for St. Cloud State as they take a lead here, 23-22. And that will send Nair back to serve. As Minnesota State's got to play some defense here. As their backs are up against the wall a little bit here late in this 4th set. Porter to Janzig, soft touch. Right to Olsted. Soft touch. Sent back over, dive, Olsted. And there it is, Rachel Lindsay blocked by Morgan Olsted. She keeps that inbounds. And Janzig comes in for Sakowicz. And then Sakowicz comes right back out for Ashton Lee. And that'll send Marta Kwam back, and let's see if she can get 2 straight points for the Mavericks and set it into a 5th set. Right to Olsted. Torvey sets it for Rachel. Kept alive. Porter to Kwam. Kwam hits it back over. Rachel Lindsay tipped at the line. Garby, Lowry, Lee. Off. Number 9, Olsted. And here's the crowd for Minnesota State getting into it. As we see the family members getting into it, that's a point. Mavericks is there 1 point away from taking this as the fans continue to stand on the side of Minnesota State. Here's Kwam. Olsted. Torvey. Back to Musso. Porter sets it for Veldman. Veldman into the net. Tied at 24. And that'll send back Maddie Torvey, as both teams are, in fact, out of timeouts. And this is just going to have to ride this one out. Porter, Olsen, off. Back over. Porter, Lee. Here's Torvey. Hits the pole from Rachel, or from Lindsay Rachel. There's also a point that goes out. Coach Rittenhouse-Wilmoth had substitutions ready, but she calls it off, and that'll send back number 10, Morgan Olsen, the junior 5'11", out of Annandale, Minnesota. She stands and hits it over. Hits it to Rachel, to Torvey. Sent back, but out of bounds. Tied at 25. As Olsted comes out, and here comes Templin back into this game. As here is number 4, Lindsay Rachel. The serve hits it to Garby, set by Lowry to Lee. Kept alive, hit out, and that'll be a point for Minnesota State. And Mavericks aren't going down easy, and that'll send back number 20, Joey Veldman. Let's see what she can do and end this 4th set as fans continue to stand here on the side of Minnesota State. Veldman to Rachel. Torvey, set to Musso. Out. Tied. Set. 5th set will happen. Minnesota State comes from behind in a 26-24 4th set victory, as there will only be a few minutes here. Let's see who decides to get the serve to start. As it looks like, in fact, St. Cloud State will start to serve, and they will not change sides here. And I remind you folks that this 5th set is only to 15 points, but you still got to win by 2. I will be back in about a minute and a half here with some stats, and I'm going to take a break and let people decide what they're going to do here, as Minnesota State already comes back out on the floor, and we will step aside momentarily. And we are back as we take a look here. There were 15 ties in that 4th set, as that is unbelievable, and there were 6 lead changes. And this is proved to be something of wonders here, as I misspoke. They cleared the scoreboard before I could read it. Minnesota State won that 4th set 27-25. And that'll send Torvey back, as it's Torvey, Olsted, Krins, Lindsay, Rachel, Musso, and number 12, Krista Kuglin. As we've mentioned, she hasn't seen much playing time here this afternoon. And it's Garby back to serve. Porter, Kwam, Olsen, Janzig, and Veldman, as they go with more experience here on the floor for Minnesota State. Kwam, Porter, soft touch by Olsen, dive by Krins, hit by Kuglin. Torvey, set to Musso. Garby. Olsen. as that set was in. And point Mavericks. Is hit by Veldman in. That's 3 consecutive points to start this 5th set for Minnesota State. And they're on fire, and they're trying not to get the loss here this afternoon as they keep fighting. Olstead hits the deck. Lindsay, Rachel hits it in the arms of Janzig. Goes off to the near side, and that results in the first point of this 5th set for the Huskies, and that'll send back Lindsay Rachel. Hits it to Kwam, sets it for Porter. Here's Olsen into the arms of Torvey, diving to Krins. Torvey sends it over. Here's Veldman into the arms of the Huskies. Can't be kept alive on the side of Minnesota State. And that lead goes from 2-1 as it is 3-2. Advantage of still Minnesota State as there's a soft serve by Rachel Lindsay. She tries to catch Minnesota State off guard, but hits in the net. Now send back number 11, Mara Kwam, as Janzig has a seat, and here comes Lee. The jump serve by Kwam hits it to Rachel. Torvey, Mulso in. And here comes number 10, Micah Nair, into the ball game for the Huskies. And here's Olsen long, as it shows 4-all on the scoreboard here. And here's Huskies. Here's Krins back to serve. Kwam. Porter to Lee. Lee gets it on the side of St. Cloud State. And here come the freshmen yet again. And that'll send Lowry back. As both teams do get 2 timeouts here in this 5th set, but they still got to win by 2. Here's Rachel Lindsay as a miss hit. Ties up from Lowry. As it is 6-4 in favor of Minnesota State. And here's Lowry. She does a jump serve. Hits it to Krins. Krins mishits it. And it seems like the wheels are falling off on the side of St. Cloud State here, as this ain't looking good for them. Lowry, Torvey to Nair, Torvey to Templin, and they say it was in. Point St. Cloud State. And here comes Hool in for number 12, Kuglin, and Hool goes straight back to serve. Garby, Lowry, Lee with the long arms, and Hool comes up short as she hits it over, but on the ground with not enough muscle. And point Mavericks, as that will cause them to switch sides, as one team does in fact hit 8. And there will be a momentary pause, as that'll send back Joey Veldman as they flip sides. Both teams still have both their timeouts here, and the score reads 8-5 in favor of Minnesota State. Sweet Carolina is playing as the referee goes to the scorer's table trying to figure something out. And he gives the okay. And they are ready to serve. Here's Joey Veldman to Krins. Torvey. Templin into the net. Point Mavericks 9-5. Timeout St. Cloud State. And this is something of a different Mavericks team here in these last few sets, as they are showing a lot of resilience here and a lot of power in this department. And they are doing a nice job as Coach Chad Bregman has one of his assistants talking to the girls in white. As Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmuth is taking a knee here and gathered around by her ladies in purple. And this is a great afternoon here. If you are watching, I'll take you through the scoring through the first few sets. St. Cloud State took the first two, 25-22 and 25-18, and both come from behind wins for Minnesota State in that third and fourth set as they won the third set 25-21 and 27-25. As we take a look here, Michaela Porter and Lauren Lowry are having themselves a whale of a game here, as Michaela Porter has 24 assists and so does Lauren Lowry with 23. Digs are in favor of Joey Veldman with 20, and Mara Quam with 30, and Olivia Garby with 18. You go outside to the St. Cloud State. One of the people that is one of the ladies that is having herself a great game is Rachel Lindsay. 23 digs, leading all St. Cloud State. Close behind her is Clara Klintz. And that is a great point as Houle hits the deck. But here's Joey Veldman as Minnesota State takes its largest lead of the afternoon by 5. And we look here at team blocks as Veldman serves into the net. The team blocks right now are heavily in favor of Minnesota State, 14-5. And that has proved to be something of great value here as that sent back Olstead. Olstead serves it to Veldman. Lowry. Back to Garby. And that goes on the side. Nair tries to keep it alive but comes up short as Quam takes a seat. Here comes Sakowicz in for Lee. And the new lineup here, Lowry, Schindler, the freshman, along with Sakowicz, Joey Veldman, Janzig, and Garby. As Minnesota State does a lot of subbing as Janzig sets over, but Krins keeps it alive. Sakowicz, Krins, Torvey, Nair blocked. Here's Lindsay Rachel. Lowry. Sakowicz to Garby. Garby long. Point Huskies. New score reads 11-7. And that will send back Nair as she serves for the first time here in this fifth set. As Sakowicz and Lee go have a seat. And coming into the ball game is Mara Quam. And there it is in short of Howell and Nair as both freshmen have a seat for the Mavericks, and that brings in Morgan Olson and Michaela Porter. And timeout St. Cloud State as they are down 5 here in this fifth set. If you're Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmuth, you can't tell your ladies to let their foot off the gas as Coach Chad Bregelman is trying to drop something with his coaching staff, and they are having a lengthy discussion as his ladies gather in a circle with a little bit of an opening. And there's Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wilmuth as she takes a knee here and is still discussing with her ladies on what she wants to do. And that'll send back Michaela Porter to serve here and to see if she can get 3 consecutive points for the Mavericks. Michaela Porter, the jump serve to Olstead. Torvey to Lindsay Rachel. Garby set by Porter, over by Janzig. Lindsay Rachel with authority, and she says, yes, thank you, Lord. And here comes Kuglin in for Houle. And here is number 14, Maddie Torvey to serve. Hits it to Garby. Set by Porter. Soft touch by Janzik. No good. Mulso. Sent back by Rachel. Wide. Point Mavericks, and that'll send back Olivia Garby. As the Huskies communicate, switch around a little bit. Garby sends it over to Olsted. Torvey sets it for Rachel. Porter set by Quam to Veldman. Put over. Olsen. Got to be sent over, hit the net, and that'll result in a point. A lucky break for the Mavericks as Maddie Torvey on the side of St. Cloud State had a dive and hit the deck. And that'll send number 5, Olivia Garby, here for the point and the winning point, hopefully, for the Mavericks. Hits it to Rachel. Rachel over to Garby. Veldman out long. Fans are wanting a tip, but nothing came of it. And that'll send back number 4, Lindsay Rachel. St. Cloud State is out of timeouts. Minnesota State's got 2. Rachel. Olsen. Game. Set. Match. And that'll do it here, as that was a huge victory for Minnesota State, as they needed that one for the standings, as they might take the sole possession of 7th place as they defeat St. Cloud State here this afternoon in that 5th set, 15-9. St. Cloud State comes in here. They won the first 2 sets, but dropped the next 3. As Minnesota State coming in and dropped 5 straight sets here on this weekend, but take 3 straight and win it 3-2 against St. Cloud State and the Huskies. And we take a look here. St. Cloud State drops to 12-10 on the season and 8-8 in conference play. Minnesota State improves to 16-8 and 9-7 in NSIC play. There was a lot of big play on the side of St. Cloud State. St. Cloud State can't really hang their head as Minnesota State fought tooth and nail to improve here and take this W. It wasn't well earned, but St. Cloud State fought endlessly, and they look tired, and they look a little sad on their faces, but they can't be disappointed with the way that they came out here, as they do, in fact, lose this one, but they have a lot to look forward to here, as they still can improve here, as they're hoping Upper Iowa lost this afternoon as well today, but we'll have a look-see later on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you this afternoon. I'd like to thank everybody on the technical side of things here on MBN Network. Couldn't have had this happen without them. Thank you, everybody, and all the referees. They did a great job here this afternoon. Minnesota State takes this one 3-2 from St. Cloud State in a 2-hour and 5-minute game here this afternoon in the Taylor Center at Bresnan Arena. I am Brian Kelly. Thank you for tuning in to NBN Network, and you all have a good rest of your night.